Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another gameplay video. This time we've got the full screen for you guys. I know it's weird not seeing my pretty face, but I wanted to let you guys see all the different numbers and stats up on the screen. So on the bottom side of the screen, we have myself playing the new mono green Frieza deck that's coming out in the starter deck from set 10. And on the top of the screen, we have Danny playing Piccolo Maidens, which is actually a really interesting take on the deck. Shout out to Russell Stelzer, our teammate, for kind of giving us the idea to go with. So basically they have a pretty cool play where they go 4 energy, rip 4 cards out of your hand. So that's a pretty good rate as far as hand control is concerned. So I get to go first here. We got to play a lot of 1-drops in this deck. So I'll kind of explain how the deck works since, you know, it's relatively new. A lot of you guys probably haven't played it yet. You got to play a lot of Frieza Army 1-drops in this deck because your leader says on the unawakened side when you attack, you can take a life and then sacrifice a Frieza Army card, and then you can make your opponent discard a card. So you have to have a lot of Frieza Army 1-drops in order to make that happen. Now this Unison card, the Frieza Zeno, is absolutely just insane with the deck. Like, I have 4 cards in hand. I'm going to use the Frieza effect to draw a card, discard Dodoria. When Dodoria is discarded, if my leader is a green Frieza and I have a Unison in play, if it gets discarded by a skill, it gets played. So that's literally free real estate. And then the Dodoria has another effect that says I can pay a green, add it back to my hand from my drop area. So that's literally the play you're going to go for every single turn, basically recycling that value for 1 energy. And you don't really have like too many offensive plays. Like, you can keep playing one drop cantrips. You see I have in my hand the Cell, Earth Destroying Kamehamehas. Those are pretty important, but at the same time, you can just leave a lot of energy up for defense to use the cells or to use the Dodorias for recyclability. So the interesting thing in this matchup is I do have to attack Danny to get the hand rip, but, you know, as Piccolo, you don't really care if you're getting attacked. You want to get to that 3 life around turn 4, turn 5, and be able to go off. That's no different here. With the Maiden play, he can go turn 4, I think it's called Maiden Transformation, the extra card that summons him from the drop area, and then awaken, get the energy back up, then start using Dimension Magics and Beans on defense and whatnot. So Danny going into his second turn here. He has a few options. He could ramp. He could hold it up for hidden potential, but I don't think hidden potential is too great in this matchup because most of my plays are 1-drops. This deck really doesn't have a win condition per se. Like, there's no boss monster win condition in the Frieza deck. We do play Furthering Truction Champa, so we want to get our opponent real low on hand size, real low on life total, and just go in ideally with the leader or a Unison card. Now you'll see I'm charging the Bardock Unison. To be honest, like, it might be the best green Unison card, but it's not the best one in this deck. The Frieza that I have on the board currently just gets you so much value when you have the Dodoria in play and you're able to just cycle it along. That's pretty much a loop. So you have the Frieza Zeno discarding the Dodoria getting played, and then the leader just sacrificing Dodoria. So as long as you have those 2 cards, the Frieza Zeno and the Dodoria, you're going to be able to just recycle your combo over and over again. Attack a Frieza, sacrifice a Dodoria, get a Dodoria back, then the Frieza Zeno discards a Dodoria plays itself, that whole thing. And the Zarbon's really good because it searches both those things you need. It searches the Dodoria, and it searches the Frieza Zeno Unison card. So my hand's looking like pretty simple, like I mentioned before. Not necessarily a big flashy boss monster win condition deck. It's a simple deck, so it's actually really good if you're somewhat new to the game, maybe learning the mechanics of the game. It is a very simple deck. You do the same things over and over again, and just try and whittle your opponent down. So Danny here did get to ramp. He is turn 4 a bit early, but it seems like he is debating on what to do here. Looks like he's gonna pass turn with 4 energy up. So obviously in Piccolo that is scary, but again, I guess like Vegeta the Cruel could hurt, but hidden potential doesn't really do too much to this deck. And the nice thing is you can't Vegeta the Cruel, you can't hit a potential of the Unison cards because they're not battle cards. They don't get affected in that way. So again, I'm attacking leader to leader, making him discard cards. He is getting life, but I'm getting closer to awakening. And once I get awakened, this leader is actually insane. The activate main, you sacrifice a Frieza Army guy, then you get to pick a card in your opponent's hand at random and discard it. That random effect is so good. I actually hit a lot of Danny's clutch plays here in this gameplay. Then besides that, you give a Unison crit, which does make the Bardock good as a win condition per se, because you can play the Bardock late game. Your opponent can't, they can't crusher ball it, they can't counterplay it really in any meaningful way. And then you give him crit and he gets triple attack. So the 20k triple attack crit, pretty good as a win condition. So we are playing a few copies of Bardock for that reason. So he is going to put the Zarbon in my energy. Not too bad though, because I do still have the Dodoria play available to me, since it's, you know, always going to be my drop area unless he has a way to basically recycle it, or remove it, I mean. Which there are a few cards that tend to do that, but none that would really be main decked in a Piccolo deck per se. So I do have 3 Earth Destroying Kamehameha in my hand. That could be pretty problematic for Danny later on. And we can see actually the hand size count. I'm at 8, he's at 7. So I'm starting to get ahead in hand size. So this leader doesn't draw cards off the deck, right? It takes life, so you do kind of get pluses there. But you are making your opponent discard cards. So once you get awakened, you're ripping cards and drawing cards. So the closer I get to awakening, the more likely I'll be able to explode the resource difference between me and Danny, which is exactly what I want to do. And I finally get the Infernal Emperor Frieza in my hand, which would have been nice, you know, a few turns ago. Actually, what's interesting here is that would be a pretty good target for Danny to use Hidden Potential on to keep me from awakening. But we'll see if he opts to do that here, if I even decide to play it. So Danny's going to go 25k into the Unison, which we talked about it after the fact. It was a really needless attack, because at this point, he's really not killing my Unison card. It's just not going to work out. He's not going to be able to get enough attacks to do it. And he could have kept the Goku up for combo power, or just, you know, not leave it vulnerable to getting attacked. So in that regard, we talked about that. That was a kind of meaningless attack. So I am going to get the Frieza down. He's not going to respond to it. I am going to awaken. And this is where my leader gets pretty stupid. So we're going to recycle Dodoria, do the whole thing that we've been doing. Play Dodoria for free. It's just, you know, max value. The best ways to use the Frieza Xeno Unison is either discarding the Dodoria or discarding the rebrand from Draft Box 5. Discarding that and then paying 2 is actually ripped in half. Like, it's so strong. So we are going to use the leader ability to pick a random card out of his hand. And looks like we hit Maiden Transformation. So that's obviously one of his main playmakers. Really good that we hit that. I'm going to go leader into the blue-green Goku here, just to not let Danny draw any cards. He's going to then negate my crit Unison and pop my Chilai. And I don't really have anything to respond to that with, so that's going to happen. And we'll just play a new Chilai. Very, very nice. Very simple. Gonna pass back to Danny. Now, of course, he is playing Piccolo. He has a ton of different things that are really scary to me in his deck. I don't necessarily have, like, you know, any type of Frost Poison or Hidden Potential. So, I mean, I do have the Frieza counterplay that, you know, works with Unisons. I don't have it in my hand at the moment. If I did, that'd be nice. But I do have the Dormant Potential Unleashed, which is basically the green Nimbus. So, depending on situation, that could be really good. But at this point, though, I have 3 energy, 3 Cell Kamehameha in my hand. We're just going to start doing some pretty degenerate stuff. We hit another Maiden Transformation. So that's 2 in the drop area and 1 in his energy. That might have just screwed Danny out of his main play. That's looking pretty good for us here. Goku into leader. And another Cell's Kamehameha, just ripping another card. Getting free value. We are trading 1 for 1 in terms of card advantage, but I'm also defending an attack, which is also added value in kind of a virtual sense. He's going to use the Roshi to recycle back one of his Maiden Transformations. Okay, he's going to grab Maiden Transformation. He's going to then use Transformation. He doesn't have any Rebonders in his drop area, which is unfortunate. It looks like he wasn't able to get to them at a timely manner, but he's going to play the 2 Kakunsas and rip 2 battle cards off my board, which is not bad at all. So the third Cell here, rip a 3rd card out of his hand. He's at 4 cards. I have plenty of defense. I'm looking pretty good here. We're going to charge the Frieza Xeno because that's pretty much a dead card. I could have used it to get a marker onto my Frieza, but at this point we don't need it. We'll just charge the energy because why not? Seems like the better play. So we're going to get value out of our Dispo in the drop area before we commit anything else to the board. The Chilai is only negated for the turn, so in a future turn, I can use it to get a Limo out of the deck if I wanted to. So we're going to look at top 5. Unfortunately, Zarbon does not add the Frieza to my hand. It only adds a 4 or less, and my only other 2 targets are 2 Limos, which I both want in the deck, but I'm still going to get the +1. I don't want to not take the plus. So that's a little unfortunate right there. I use a -1 marker ability on the Frieza to kill a Kakunsa to alleviate some pressure. We're going the Frieza Xeno crit at the life. He's going to negate it with sacrifice. Leader swing into Kakunsa. Again, just to not give him cards off his life and allow me to keep drawing cards. I'm going to use Zarbon's ability at the drop area, which lets you pay a green, activate battle to give your leader or a unison card plus 10k. So basically, kind of for free, getting rid of the Kakunsa there. I'm just going to hardcast 2 Limos here, because that puts Danny to 1 card in hand. So even though I'm tapped out, I'm not really afraid of what he can do this next turn. And the fact that I have Dormant Potential Unleashed in my hand, I can pretty much force him to end his turn. There's nothing he can do to stop my green Nimbus, basically. So with that in mind, it's looking pretty easy here. But he could pull it out of nowhere, so we'll see what goes on. So he is in a draw 2 with his leader, you know, the Scry, and then draw for turn, and draw off the Piccolo ability, which is, of course, pretty insane. And now I do have the Frieza counterplay in hand, so that's pretty good. He's in a hard cast for Bonra. Kind of unfortunate for him, you know. But I am going to counterplay with Frieza, get rid of that Goku, so I don't have to deal with as much pressure coming from Danny. Danny's going to go Rabonra into my leader. Checking my drop area out real quick. I'll take a damage, go to 3. Going to go 20k at leader. I'll just super combo out of it. Probably should have just negated and activated the Nimbus effect, but realistically, he wasn't attacking with his leader anymore. And yeah, the Nimbus effect actually would not have been good there because he really didn't have any ways to play more battle cards. And his leader was not threatening. He probably wasn't going to awaken there. So yeah, it's actually fine that we didn't use the Nimbus there. That was actually the right call. So we're gonna go -1 marker, get rid of the Kakunsa. We don't really want to get rid of the Rabonra because then he can just revive it potentially and rip 2 cards out of our hand. So we're gonna go Bardock over the Frieza Xeno. In case you didn't know, it's kind of like a field card. You can play a new Unison over a Unison you already had on the board. So that's pretty solid there. We're going to pay 3 for the Bardock, and then we're going to use a +1 effect to make him discard his last card in hand. I have the wrong number of markers on the Bardock at this point. Sorry for that. So we're going to go Frieza at leader. And then we're going to sacrifice the Frieza to make him discard his last card. And then we're going to go Bardock at life. He's forced to take it. And the Bardock has crit because I use the leader effect. Now leader into leader. He's forced to take it. And we have 3 15Ks. Unless he pulls a bean out of here, which, you know, really doesn't matter. And it looks like he pulled the 1 Rabonra out of his life, or 2 Rabonras out of his life. So Danny, unfortunately, I picked a lot of the Maiden transformations out of his hand. He didn't see the Rabonras when he needed it, but I think I was ahead for most of that game. We do have another game between these 2 decks in particular. I may post that to the channel if you guys want to see it. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see either deck profiles, and I will see you guys next time.